Let me tell you a story that's going to blow your mind. A tale of secret plots, international intrigue, and how powerful countries play games with entire nations' futures. In the early 1950s, the Cold War wasn't just about two superpowers glaring at each other. It was a global chess match where every move could potentially start a worldwide conflict. And Guatemala? Oh, this tiny Central American country became a critical battleground in this invisible war. Let's zoom in on 1951. Guatemala was led by President Jacobo Arbenz, a guy who had some pretty radical ideas about making life better for regular people. You see, by 1952, Guatemala had this massive problem with land distribution. A tiny group of super-rich people, including a massive American company called United Fruit Company, owned almost all the good farmland. Most Guatemalans were dirt poor, working as basically underpaid workers on these huge plantations. In 1952, Arbenz's big plan came to life. He passed a law that said if rich landowners weren't using their land, the government could buy it super cheap and give it to poor farmers who needed it. United Fruit Company was not happy about this. They owned tons of unused land, and now the government wanted to take it and give it to peasants. In 1953, things got wild. The United States, instead of seeing this as a fair attempt to help poor people, saw it completely differently. To them, any land redistribution looked suspiciously like communism. Remember, this was the era of extreme anti-communist sentiment. If you sneezed in a way that seemed even slightly communist, the US government would get super nervous. The CIA, those super-secret spies, started cooking up plans in 1953. Operation Washtub was one of their most audacious schemes. The goal was to create completely fake evidence that would make it look like Guatemala was becoming a Soviet satellite state. We're talking about manufacturing entire spy networks out of thin air. Imagine creating fake documents, forged communication logs, and elaborate stories about Soviet agents infiltrating the Guatemalan government. These weren't just simple forgeries. They were complicated, carefully designed pieces of evidence meant to convince not just American leaders but the entire international community. You see, understanding the bigger picture is important. This wasn't just about Guatemala. The United States was terrified of communism spreading in Latin America. They saw the region as their backyard and were determined to prevent any left-leaning governments from taking power. Cuba, Chile, Nicaragua, multiple countries would face similar US interventions in the coming decades. While Operation Washtub itself wasn't executed, it was replaced by Operation PB Success in June 1954. This operation was brutally effective. Using a combination of psychological warfare, propaganda, and covert military support, the CIA successfully overthrew Arbenz's democratically elected government in just 10 days. The consequences were devastating. From 1954 to 1996, a staggering 36 years, Guatemala descended into a brutal civil war. Over 200,000 people were unalive, most of them indigenous Maya people. Thousands disappeared, were tortured, or forced to flee their homes. All because of a geopolitical chess game played by distant powers. Interestingly, United Fruit Company, later renamed Chiquita Brands, played a significant behind-the-scenes role. By 1953, they had massive economic interest in Guatemala and lobbied hard in Washington to paint Arbenz as a communist threat. Several CIA operatives actually had previous connections with the company, creating a troubling conflict of interest. The story of Operation Washtub isn't just a Cold War footnote. By 1999, a UN Historical Clarification Commission would confirm the injustice of this intervention. In 2011, declassified documents would provide even more shocking details about how this entire operation went down. It's a stark reminder of how powerful countries can manipulate narratives, interfere in sovereign nations, and destroy lives in the name of geopolitical strategy. Today, many historians and researchers continue to uncover the complex layers of this operation. Declassified documents slowly reveal the intricate mechanisms of Cold War espionage, showing how close we came to global conflict multiple times. To be honest, it sounds more like a crazy spy movie than actual history. But here's the thing. It really happened. The Cold War wasn't just about two countries glaring at each other. It was a global chess match where entire nations could be flipped like game pieces. Want to hear more about these incredible historical secrets? Because trust me, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So don't forget to subscribe.